Good.
Welcome everyone to TVOSJ.org, the voice of San Joaquin, right here off the Miracle Mile in Stockton, California. Now it is time for Chase Car's Guys Show.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Chase Car Guys. With my friend Marissa Roy Morales, we're here with our office staff tonight. It's going to be a great show. We got Chase Chevrolet office staff. Yeah, they got the women's of Chase Chevrolet here tonight. I think it's going to be a great insight to what they do inside the office, doing different things. And we have the controller, Miss Amy Clark. We have Miss Kim DuQuette, who does contracts. I just do contracts, only contracts. And we have Miss Felicia. Felicia does DMV and?
I work on the daily deposit and wholesales.
The daily deposit. We'll get to that much more. But I'm going to throw it over to my boy, Roy. Roy the Toy Morales, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, Roy.
Thank you very much. Great to have this is actually our, let's see if we get this right. I think it's our 6th episode. Can you believe that?
Well, there's a lot of episodes, that's for sure.
We're going to have another episode today. Anyway, tonight's topic is, it's in the details. And we have our office staff here today. And they contribute so much to everything running smoothly at our dealership. Because nothing's ever done until all of the paperwork is done and a loan is funded and all the things that you guys wrap up are all done and completed, and there's a lot of work involved, you know. So anyway, I thought it would be Rick and I both thought it would be important for us to bring our office staff on the show and talk a little bit about what you do and a little bit about yourselves. So anyway, I'm gonna have you introduce yourselves. You can state what your position is, how many years maybe you've been with Chase Chevrolet, and you can say hi to your kids if you want, or family or friends, and also just tell us maybe a little bit about just how you came to work for Chase Chevrolet as kind of a little break the ice type thing.
If you forget the questions, we'll give them back.
Yeah,
to
we'll
you,
give them back to you.
Don't worry about it. 13 things to do.
This is all fun. This is all fun and easy. So let me start off with you, Felicia.
Okay, well, my name is Felicia, and I'm an admin for Chase Chevrolet. I do several things at my desk. The main one is the deposit. So every piece of money that comes to Chase Chevrolet, I get to see it and put it to its rightful place. I also work on wholesales, and I work alongside the controller, Amy, with DMV correspondence.
Oh, I see. Okay, wonderful. And do you have any family?
I do. I'm happily married to my handsome husband, Nick Hall.
All right.
No kids yet. So.
Well, shout out to Nick. And then we'll go ahead and have you introduce yourself.
I'm Amy. I'm the controller for Chase Chevrolet, which means basically that
You're in control.
I'm in control. No.
She's a control freak.
Not really. It basically means that I help to implement and enforce procedures and policies where accounting is concerned.
And you oversee a lot of the stuff at the dealership.
Yes.
Yes, because I'm in your office quite often. And that's for other things. But anyhow, we'll talk about that on another show. Go ahead. Get over to the mic.
Oh, right here. I'm sorry.
Come on, Roy. Wake up over there, Roy.
Go right ahead. There you go.
Well, my name's Kimberly, and I do process contracts and process warranties for the dealership. I've been with the dealership for 6 years. And
working on 7. No?
Working on 7, yes. Working on 7. It's a very wonderful place to be. To work for.
Especially in the mornings, right?
Yeah, especially in the mornings. Yeah. Making sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dots in the contracts, all the paperwork, and make sure everything goes through so the car can be complete and there's no worries for the customers.
Yeah, well, and I know Roy's with me on this, we appreciate everything you guys do. Sometimes we have to cross different minefields together, but we get through it. At the end of the day, we're all a team, and that's what makes Chase successful. Now, I'm going to ask Amy this question. I know you got a plethora of.
No, go right ahead. Jump in when you're ready.
Miss Clark.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Clark. I'm sorry.
Clark, that's correct.
Get it right.
Except when you're at work. But anyhow, that's another story. But anyhow, talk to us about you have several employees that aren't here that are in the office. I know you're in charge of some of the women in the lube area and also in the service department. But we have one person in particular. We talked about it earlier today. I think you should recognize her for the amount of time she's put in. You have two, actually.
Correct.
Go ahead and give us their
Introduce
names.
you to the rest of your staff.
Give us their names
Okay.
and their ages. No, they don't have to give us their ages.
So we'll start with the longest. That's Karen. Karen Sakai. And she's been with the company, oh goodness.
30 plus is what she told
yeah,
us.
30 plus years. I'm sorry that I don't know the exact
Oh,
I don't know the exact amount of years, but quite a long time. She does payroll for us and a lot of other things that she has her hands in. And then Barb
Schneider.
Barb Schneider, she's another 30.
30, yeah. I think
30-ish.
30-ish. I like that.
Yeah, she's been there for quite a while. She does payables and receivables for us. And then Michelle is also in the office. She's our office manager.
Shout out to Michelle.
Shout out!
Right, Michelle. See, we got you on the radio, Michelle.
She has been, she's been with the company. I think she's working on 7.
Don't you think we should have her on the show at
I
some
do.
point?
I really
Yeah,
do.
that's a good idea.
I think we should really work
Well,
on
we
that.
tried
starting
to get her on this show, but
Settle down.
she had something to do.
We tried hard.
Yes, we did. She doesn't want to. She thinks that if she came on the air that she'd have to go off to another venture. She'd be that popular. So I understand that. Okay, back to you, Miss DuQuette. Talk to us about. I know, and you know, I know, but the people that are listening, don't know. So, kind of your daily routine. What you do from the time you get there until you go through your first break. No, you don't have to go through your breaks, but tell us what you do on a daily basis.
Well, we get there in the morning, and we go and get to the safe and count all the money that we took in for that day, down payments, whatever customers come in and paid for their cars. I go back and send out all the contracts, make sure everything's signed. Then I actually go through all the paperwork, making sure all the insurance, the driver's license, all the paperwork that needs to be in the deal is in the deal, with all the correct addresses, all the correct dates, and then I start to process and do the accounting part of the contracts. And then I send in the warranties, register the warranties so the customers have warranty for the car. And yeah.
Cancellations, that kind of thing.
Cancellations.
Yeah.
Yep, if I have any that day.
And so it sounds like a very easy job, folks, but it really isn't. I mean, there's 4 guys doing finance, and they're mediocre at best. Anyhow, but so they're our back check. We check, they check, and then the bank checks. So hopefully everything runs smoothly. We've done some changing here in the past 30 days, and I think it's really helped out as far as knowing where we're at in each deal. We can pick up a deal, know exactly where to look in it to get whatever information we did. So from the sales side of it, I'm happy. Long time needed, and it's much smoother. Now, Miss Amy, how much you were a big part of it. I mean, and so you oversee all these young ladies. They're young compared to me, so they're all young. You're young. Roy, not so much, but tell us about where you see us going, and as far as the direction of the store's moving now. We've implemented last year a new position that you're overseeing that job too. It's your gentleman in the next office from you. Mm-hmm. Why don't you talk a little bit about how that came up and why we do it and what's involved, because he is probably not going to come on. I told him that he could write his own questions, so we're in
Compliance.
Compliance, that's the word. Go ahead.
That's right.
He's talking about Angel. He's our human resources manager. And that came about basically because California has massive regulations and compliance, issues that we need to address and maintain.
Right.
So he is a huge help to me to be able to implement things that need to be implemented and then manage them as, and as change happens, then we're able to change, and it doesn't land on just one person. You know what I mean? We kind of work as a team to make sure that we're
Right.
where we need to be.
Right. I mean, probably of all states, and obviously I don't live in any other states, but California is probably the most regulated state in the nation. for whatever reasons that is, and that's probably another topic for another show, but it's tough to stay on top of it and to stay compliant so that when we get audits or checks or whatever from the state that we're all compliant, we're all doing the right things.
Correct.
Yeah. And now we can. You can jump in here
No,
anytime.
you're good. You're
I'm doing good. And I have
Great
no,
job, Rick.
Look at no notes at all.
No notes at all. Right off the top of your head.
So Felicia, now I know you do the receivables and count the money, which is a very important job.
Oh, it is.
You also are a DMV clerk now.
Actually, I am DMV assistant. I deal more with correspondence.
Who would be the DMV coordinator?
Amy Clark.
Amy
Amy
Amy is the go-to person. Well, now we can use you, which is good for us because.
She's learned. She's
Definitely
doing,
learning.
doing as much as she can to learn. She's doing a great job.
So talk to us. You can both chime in. Talk to us about DMV and. They're very specific about certain things that have to be done.
Oh, yes.
But what I like about it from my perspective, I love my perspective. It takes everybody else off the hook. They have no reasons for what they do. They just say do it, and you have to do it. But anyhow,
Divine entity.
yeah. Go ahead.
What
Talk to us about some of the DMV stuff that we're currently doing now that we didn't, like electronic stuff.
Oh, like the plates. And
Yeah, all that
that's
type
a
of
new
thing. That's
yeah,
all
so the
new.
temp tags just started this last year. So that was a big undertaking because you're changing the way that you process everything.
Right.
So it's been a while. We've been doing e-filing, which is electronic filing of DMV for quite a while. It's been mandatory. They just introduced the temp tag, so now everyone leaves with a temporary tag or a plate if used of some sort.
Right, and for those that don't know, starting January 1st, everybody, you see these weird-looking numbers on cars like AT, and there'll be a bunch of numbers after it. And I've had people ask me, well, what is that? And it's what Amy was just talking about, temporary tags. And they have to go on the car. The state's mandated that. Allegedly, because I don't know how, this is what has been told to us, and I've talked to several different police agencies and officers about this, but when we issue those tags from the dealership, they immediately, which again allegedly go into the system. So if you decide you're going to run a red light or whatever, they can run that tag and the car should come back registered to the person driving it. Well, theoretically, I mean, sometimes.
However, our finance department registered it is how it will come up.
No, but that doesn't mean. Yes, way to go, kid. This is our show, okay? But what I meant was, you could have somebody else drive your car, and it
Correct.
wouldn't be them driving it. That's how I meant that.
So
Yeah.
however the vehicle's registered.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. So, and what the biggest thing was is the state allegedly claims that they were missing all these people running in the fast pass lanes, doing the tolls. They were just running through there with the paper plate, like ours should say Chase Chevrolet, but it could be any other dealer's paper plate, and they couldn't track those cars. So this is one of the reasons they did it. So.
Let me ask you a question on that because I know a lot of our customers have had questions about that. It is on only new vehicles with
No.
the paper plate, or is it on new and?
It's on
used?
whatever vehicle does not have a plate.
So it does not have a plate. So in the case of a used vehicle that has a plate on it,
You would not have temp
yeah,
tags.
you just
Correct.
use those plates. And then now that plate that we issue, that plate number that we issue, the temporary plate, is that their actual plate number? No. Okay.
No,
So
no. They'll get a new one. It's strictly temporary.
Temporary.
Okay.
And then as soon as the paperwork's processed, they're issued an actual plate, and then the record is updated, and that's what will show on the record once it's completed.
Yes.
See, okay, yeah, because that was a new.
That was a good question, Roy.
See, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's off his notes. He didn't. That's not
Yeah,
written
that's
down.
off the top of his head, but.
Normally I try to stay.
Yeah, it's important that people see that and understand what it is because it is something fairly new, and it's good for the person buying the car too that they have some legitimacy as far as how the DMV works and goes on from there. Go ahead, Rob.
Let me ask you this. because I know you have a huge job. I mean, there's a lot of activity that goes on in the back room. You know, I mean, we don't get to see it. You know, we know it's there and it's getting done, but you know, we're not right there next to you to see how you guys work. How do you work with your staff to come up with ideas to streamline certain procedures to make us more efficient? I mean, do you guys talk? Do you have like little sessions where you guys talk about, about you know what, I have an idea maybe that we can share with the group, and to try to streamline the process and even make it more efficient.
Most processes that get streamlined differently than what they're already in place at is typically because one of us runs into a challenge of some sort in the way that it's being processed. So then, typically that results in conversation.
Right.
How can we do this better? Felicia and I today just had to, go over some things that are new, some reconciling of some accounts that are new to me. I haven't reconciled them very long, and she and I, a lot of her work flows into my office, as far as actually everybody's work kind of flows into my office as far as reconciling for the final reconciliation of things. And so her and I had to sit together and brainstorm how can she alter what she's doing to help how I'm reconciling. Nothing that she does wrong, it's just a matter of we've not dealt with this company before, and we haven't dealt with their reports or their anything that they're doing, and it's difficult. So how can we streamline our process so that both of us are not frustrated when we sit down to have to do our part?
Because that's I mean, you have several people that that work under you and with you, and so that's really an important process to have that open type of communication. And I know you guys do, because I know you. But in a lot of other office, environments, I think ours is pretty unique. I mean, you guys take care of business, I mean, you're taking care of business, but at the same time, I think you guys communicate effectively. When I see you guys, we have fun. We have fun in our jobs, but we're effective, and we're always looking at new ways to improve our jobs.
Right.
And I've seen each and every one of you. One of the things that you guys do, it's not just because you're in the back office and not on the sales floor, is that sometimes you guys have to deal with customers that come in that have a question regarding either a contract, a DMV issue, a license plate, or whatever, and you have to come out there and you have to kind of explain and resolve whatever issue it is. Tell us about some of the common ones that that maybe you run into on your end, where customers come in, they have a question, and what are the most frequent ones that they normally come in for?
Well, maybe not come in, but we get phone calls about when they have a trade-in and when we've sent the payoff, and they want to make sure it gets paid off in time, or if they have a cancellation of a warranty, when should they expect their refund. We do have a lot of phone calls throughout the day. We answer the phones and transfer them out to different places. So we do talk to customers quite a bit throughout the day. But I know that there's some DMV questions that come in, that customers actually come in. And Felicia.
And I've seen Felicia deal with them, and Amy as well. What are the most frequent ones that the DMV kind of questions that come in?
Quite often I get calls saying that I haven't received my registration, but I've received my plates. A good rule of thumb, just in general, is take your plates apart and look in the middle. Generally, they're in between both plates, and they get stuck sometimes. So we just have to let them know, it was in there. You just got to take away both plates and check the back, because the paper is really sticky, so it gets stuck. Staticky, and it gets stuck to the back of the plate.
And then if they go put the plate on the car, it still might be on the back.
Yep, I do often recommend that. Say, why don't you take off your plate and check behind it? And sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
We take care of it if it's not.
Now, it used to be, in the olden days, that the registration is how it got mailed out. It was in a sleeve in the front of where the plates are. Has that changed?
For the most part, yes, because
okay.
we use the third party. So because of the electronic filing,
I gotcha.
We use a third party to help facilitate that, and they send out plates and registration. So their registrations actually look different than what you would get from DMV. The perfect little square that you normally get from DMV. Coming from a third party company is typically rectangular.
The rectangular, and I've seen them with
Staticky.
trade-ins. They are static.
A lot of people don't realize that it's their registration.
Yeah.
People haven't
'Cause
bought cars in a
doesn't-
while.
It doesn't look like the normal
Correct.
registration. Good to know.
And then also, you deal with the wholesale, so, I mean, the trades, huh? Is it the trade-ins that you're
That we
processing?
wholesale, yes.
Yeah, so
We take them in. Maddie, she's also another member of the business office. So she takes them in, makes the jackets for us, runs the DMV reports, which is really helpful to see. And then we take that information and we move it on to the next report, which is the wholesale report, and we go from there.
I see. And then I think on your end also, you get some customers that come in and ask for assistance. Are there any particular areas that they come in or ask?
With
that
me,
you might
typically,
think?
if I'm helping a customer, it's typically because they have a situation that either I've never dealt with or Felicia hasn't had the opportunity to deal with
Right.
yet. Something that is a little bit more intricate than
Right.
your everyday issues that we deal with. That's typically the only time that 'cause my staff is awesome and they don't ever
Yeah.
bother me, and they handle things themselves, and
Yeah.
it's awesome.
So, we were talking about posting, and we haven't talked about it yet, but we are posting and receivables and payables. Obviously, most people know a bill coming into us is a receivable, and ones that we're mailing out is a payable. Pretty simple. Do you follow me so far?
No,
Roy?
but go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyhow, so and I've never seen your side of the business other than what we've talked about. But so there's a money set up somewhere in the system. Either we owe or we're getting paid, and so then you're the receivables, payables.
Barb
Barb
does
is.
both.
Barb does both of them. Barb, where are you? Oh.
He's counting.
So she has to match that number up. Hopefully they're all right. But we bill out $700 and the guy's not sending us $650 back, and I'm sure that happens once in a while.
It happens a lot.
It happens, yeah. So you have to keep track of that on a daily basis or a weekly basis. How does that work?
Weekly is preferred.
Yeah.
And that's called reconciling. So we each have what are called schedules, and it's basically a list of our accounts that we're responsible for, the activity that is in and out of them, and then like I said, everyone's responsible for the schedules that accompany their tasks, their desk, and then the key is to balance.
And
Get to zero.
And I know here's a nice photo. I know when you don't want to come into the office. I can tell you that the first, second, third of the month, and because they're doing a lot of work. They're getting the deals that we do on the last day, and sometimes they're there till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Typically, the last day is 10 to 15 deals normally. So they got to process that all what they have the whole month to do, and I know they don't wait the whole month. They do it on a daily basis, but they have to get that all done. Then they got to reconcile the whole month. So if you were smart, you stay out of the office. Don't go in there because they're all. And I gotta say, only because I work there, not that I touch anything, but they do a good job because typically, Amy, we get that done within a 3 to 4 day turnaround. Sometimes less.
2 to 3.
Well, I know they want it done the same day. But
Yeah, 2 to 3 is. I mean, all depends.
it depends on how the month falls.
How the
right?
month falls
Yeah.
and whatnot. But I don't know that we've done it after the third business day in probably. It's been a really
Because
long
Michelle said so.
time. The John said so.
Oh, the John. Okay. Now you're off the hook again,
They're
Michelle.
the ultimate.
Yeah,
they're the
well,
ultimate
absolutely. It's
say-so.
their store. It should
One
be
thing
that way.
one thing that I have noticed is that on the last day of the month,
Oh, here we go.
on the last day of the month, Karen is there until the very last
Well,
minute.
that-
Not Karen anymore.
Not
Not
anymore.
Karen
but-
anymore.
Who does that now?
Maritz does it.
Oh, she does. Okay,
Yeah.
and tell us a little bit about that last day.
Can
of
I
the
just
month.
share something with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
When was the last time you were there the last day of the month? Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah,
I think Karen was doing
Normally
it,
take the last
and she
day of
hasn't
the
done
month.
it in how many months?
It's been a bit.
Yeah.
Really?
Like a year.
Yeah, there
a year.
it is,
Yeah.
really, I told you.
And then see, but that also happens very late.
It does happen late. So
It's
that
closing time.
what's he's referring to the deliveries of the vehicle. Chevrolet likes to know exactly what we sold at the end of every month, and so we have to make sure everything's in
So at the end
by
of
the
that
time frame.
hour, that's what she's compiling. She's compiling.
She has
they're
up until
selling-
9 o'clock,
Yep.
9
our
o'clock.
time,
Okay.
our time,
Yeah.
because it's midnight back east. So
Oh.
they has everything that's going to get reported for that month has to be reported prior to an hour over here in the Pacific region,
Okay.
9 o'clock.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So any goals that sales is hitting
Yeah.
or whatever is
Right.
reliant upon those getting delivered.
Right. Beautiful. Very good. Tell us about, we know you guys. We don't, we don't work with you every minute, but we know you personally, which is really cool. And you guys. I always talk about there's a little culture that we work within, and I call it the Chase Chevrolet culture. Do you guys feel that you work, that culture that you guys work in? Kind of explain that to me. I mean, what give me some feelings about the work environment that you guys work in.
And remember, HR is listening.
Oh,
No, I'm only kidding.
Well, I'll say I've been in the industry for
Long.
goodness since '98.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been to a few dealerships and
Right.
and I've worked for some really good ones, but I've never ever been anywhere where the office staff was treated the way that we're treated at Chase Chevrolet.
Definitely agree.
That's a fact.
Mhm.
Like there's no way around it. And typically in the automotive industry, the business office is it's a non-producing department.
Mhm.
We don't produce
Unproductive, as they
income.
say.
And
Yeah,
non-pro-
income wise.
Income.
yeah, we
you're
don't
right.
produce. We produce a lot of work, but we don't
Right.
produce any
Right.
income. So, ownership. You could see where ownership might just be like, oh, it's an expense that we have, and we'll just deal with it. And but
Right.
the Johns are very, they're very appreciative
Right.
of the fact that we take care of the customers and,
And it shows that they're appreciative.
that we keep them on the up and up. We do our best. You know
Right.
what I mean, to guide everybody in the way that we should be, so that they're safe and everybody's safe, and try to keep our customers happy with paperwork and customer service.
And I've been around a few years. I think, for the most part, our relationship, being the finance department, and we work pretty close to hand in hand because there's a lot of things that we touch that you end up touching and trying to get it all right. For the most part, I believe that we have a good relationship. I know there's been times when we were downtown and you folks weren't around in those days that it wasn't that way. And so it's tough to work with people that don't want to work. And yes, there's bending, and we do the best to try to do it that way, but sometimes you get customers that are not wanting to comply to what you need them to do.
Yeah.
So it's great to have rules and regulations, and that we all have to have them, but sometimes in reality it just doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, it would be perfect if it was all cookie cutter world
Yeah.
and everything was thus and so. But so we in the finance department have to deal with the customers, and for the most part, we get the job done. Now there's exceptions to every rule. We don't. Then we got to the point where the rule was the exception, so
Yeah.
that's not a good thing either. But it's always good in my mind, and I've been with Chase for a lot of years, that you always have a good. No, is there going to be misunderstandings or situations? Those things happen, but for the most part, you get over them. It's everybody's trying to do their job. You know what I mean? And sometimes feelings get hurt, not intentionally. It just happens. But like in any family, you have issues. I mean, so you work them out. If you're a responsible person and wanting to go on, you work it out. Hey, you know what? Bad mood. Let's move on. Whatever the case is. But for the most part, we don't have that. I mean, there's exceptions to that. But for the most part, we all want to work together, especially when Kim comes down there with 14 stacks of deals. You know it.
It's our goal to have good
Well,
working
and
relationships.
it's mine too, as you guys know, because we chat when I'm there in the
Who wants to
morning.
go to work and be irritated?
No,
I don't.
no. It's much
Definitely
easier
not.
to get along and try to figure out. like you were just saying, how we can, if there is an issue, how we can make the issue a non-issue and
Work together to fix it.
Exactly.
Communication is key in accounting because seriously, everything flows to the next person. So
Right.
you're never going to touch something that somebody else didn't touch. So you have to communicate because if someone else is not realizing what they're doing is affecting you,
Right.
you have to be able to communicate that effectively and graciously and,
And I have to
And-
say, all of us girls in the office, we communicate very well and help each other out. And, if one person's having a problem figuring out something, might not be anything with your desk, you go over and try to
Right.
help them figure it out to get
Right.
it solved.
Right. It's not my deal. It's his deal,
Yeah,
or whatever the
it's not
case
like
is.
that. We
Yeah.
help
yeah,
each
we don't
other.
we don't have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we don't.
Very
Yeah,
thankfully, so we don't have that.
Right. Yeah, because I'm sure there are, and you've worked at offices that, this is mine, that's yours. I don't want it on my side of the desk. And so, getting back to what you started about how you're treated, I understand there's a day in San Francisco coming up pretty soon. I hear
Admin.
that through the little birds that talk to me.
Oh, are we involved with that?
Just
you
the
admin?
girls.
Are
Are you admin?
We can be.
Oh, it is.
Your
admin.
hat
I
all
forgot.
backwards.
Not just girls anymore.
Oh, so you got
Yeah.
admin. Okay.
Admin.
You having a
we-
special day?
Oh, that's right. You
The
got.
administrative department.
Well, I forgot we have.
Yeah.
Admin
We're,
day.
are we correct, Angel?
nice.
You are now involved with the admin. We're not calling you out, Angel, but I think it's you. Anyhow, go ahead and talk to us about that day. I think it's pretty cool that they do it, and
I was
I
gonna
know
say-
this isn't your first year.
I was gonna say that this isn't our first time. I've been with Chase Chevrolet for 6 years and a little bit in 2008. But John and John have always given us a special Girls' Day. I mean, now it's admin, but I mean, we went to Reno, we went to Monterey, we went to Sacramento, we went to San Francisco, we went to Vegas. I mean, it's just really special that they provide all this. I mean, it's all expense paid for us girls to have a great weekend and spend time together and make memories of Chase Chevrolet girls.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
team
awesome.
a team build. It's
Bonding, team
yeah,
bonding.
It's you're so ridiculous.
Bonding or building?
Building,
Whoa,
bonding,
yeah.
the
It's all
same.
double
The
B.
idea
Double
is
B's.
the idea is that we come together and have a good time together.
Yeah.
He
And
typically.
boy, do we have a good time.
Yeah, they typically provide dinner at a very nice
Yeah.
restaurant
Yeah.
typically, and then we usually stay an evening at a nice hotel
Yeah,
typically.
5-star, yes, of course.
And then a lot of us, depending on where we go, we spend the day shopping. They did send us to Disneyland
Yes, that was
last year. That
Really?
was
phenomenal.
That was
You guys had a great time, huh?
that was
Yeah.
probably one of the favorites.
Oh, absolutely.
That was probably one of the favorites.
Well, those are the things that I think help us to build the culture that we work in. I mean, we're always trying to strive to be better. I mean, I see you every day out on the sales floor, and I know what she's doing. She's doing her job, and that is to get additional information that she needs to process your contract work. And so it's really critically important that we communicate. With all departments. When we had the service department here, and you won't find this in a lot of dealerships, but the relationship between the sales and the service department, how that works now, very close now, real tight. And then you guys with the sales, and then the sales managers, because you guys are working with the sales managers
And finance.
and finance. So you guys have a lot of communication going on to get your jobs done, and I know that you guys do an excellent job. And I've always been proud of the way that both Johns, take care of their office
Oh,
staff.
yes.
And I think that's why that's not the reason why you do it, but it is it's an additional incentive to work harder. To get your
Just
job
being
done.
appreciated,
Yeah,
knowing that
that's
what
what,
you do is appreciated, it makes you work harder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even without the trips and
right.
I mean, strictly the way that we're treated.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I
It's
mean?
all
There's
about-
there's a
And the
sense of
recognition that
yeah,
we
they
get.
they recognize us even if
There's nothing involved.
monetary
but it's
things
just-
aside.
Right.
yeah, they could not give us another trip and we would still
Yeah, you
know
still
that
work.
we're appreciated.
The other thing in your office, and actually it's in a lot of the departments at Chase Chevrolet is, what, the one thing that we don't have
What?
is we don't have a lot of turnover.
We do not.
That just shows how
Much we value our jobs
Yeah.
and
how the Johns treat us. They make everybody happy and
Yeah, even with your group, I mean, most of your group are probably there 5 years or more. I mean, average, you know. I mean, well, you got a couple that have been there for like 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So that'll.
There's nothing better to go to, so why
You
leave?
got some
Exactly.
real experienced people there, and that's important because at a lot of dealerships, I'm sure that that they run through people, and then when you have that turnover, you're not as efficient,
That's very
and the
true.
paperwork doesn't get done, timely, and all those other things. But it's really nice that Chase Chevrolet takes care of the office staff as well as they do.
Hitting on that, I've been around John Ferriolo for 25 plus years, and John Chase obviously all the time I've been there, and they've learned a long time ago, those two guys, that you got to take care of the people in the trenches, meaning the people that are out meeting the public, the people behind the scenes that are carrying the ball that nobody sees. Without those people, we don't have a good business, or you wouldn't have a good business. We do have a good business because that's what we do. I've known a lot of people throughout my car business life, and they're not all like that. In fact, the majority of them aren't. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, unfortunately, and that's how they look at it. I'm the owner, or I'm this, or I'm that, so the hell with the rest of the people, and that's not how they're treated. John's very good to you guys, also the salesman, because he was a salesman, and he knows how he was treated, and the majority of the time it wasn't the way he's treating his salesman. Of course, times have changed over the years, and we've had all change. Not me so much, but I try to. I try to on a daily basis. It's tough, but I think they got the right idea. And it's been, like we said, it's been pretty successful. We have probably 75 to 80% repeat business and referral business. So I just come into the studio tonight, a longtime customer looking for a car. He knows myself and Mr. Ronald Savelli, and anyhow, so hopefully we'll be seeing him here in the next few days, getting a couple cars. But that's always good. You're out in the community. We're the dreaded car people, We're just beneath attorneys. But
We talked about that on our recent show.
you remember that, Roy? I'm very proud of you. Very good, Roy. But the thing is that we are people, just like everybody else, and we treat people the way we want to be treated. And I've said this on a prior show. Ed Miller, who's long passed, was probably my age when I was starting out. And two things that he said that I'll always remember. First one, he wouldn't up or go talk to people that weren't of his age. No young people, he just wouldn't talk to them because he was an elderly man. And he'd always walk up to these people and say, "Oh, you're about my age. You remember when sex was clean and the air, no, you remember when sex was dirty and the air was clean." That was his opening line, which is kind of comical. And then he told me one other thing that I say to this day, and I tell people that I sit in front of. He told me this, and it's so profound. You can shear sheep every year, but you only can skin them one time. And man, if that doesn't hit home, everybody talks about how much money they made or this or that or the next thing. But if you do it right, you can all make money, and they'll come back and see you again. People know we make money. I mean, there's no secret to that. Otherwise, we couldn't keep our doors open. But and I always tell people we're not going to make enough money. We're going to close for the rest of the month on you. I mean, that's not going to happen. It just doesn't happen. So, keeping those things in mind and the philosophy, and that's basically how our store is throughout. That we've survived a lot of the tough times. We survived 08. Yes, we did. And that was a tough era for everybody, not just Chase Chevrolet. But that means you must be doing something right. You know what I mean? Because there's been a lot of dealerships gone out of business within a 50-mile radius of us. But yet they keep surviving. Why? Because they try to do things right. And John are not meeting all the public. It's everybody else.
Right.
You guys, service, sales department, they're out in the trenches is how I named it. So if you treat them right, they feel good about themselves, they're going to go out and project that to the customers.
And you guys, I mean, you field a lot of phone calls, you know. I mean, you guys are probably fielding the first phone calls. And so you get to talk to the customer immediately, and you're, you know, at that time when you have them on the phone, you're trying to decipher, you know, where you need to send them, or, you know, how to get their problem resolved. And so you guys are always dealing with the customer in that aspect, you know, and then in your particular area when they have a, you know, specific question. But, you know, I think part of the reason why we're on a community radio station is to be able to let people know that, you know, who we are, who Chase Chevrolet is. When people think of Chase Chevrolet, they think of a new automotive Chevy dealership, you know, that sells new and used cars and services vehicles as well. But, you know, who we really are is we're people. You know, we're people that make Chase Chevrolet, you know, what it is for many, many years. And that's why the show, you know, gives our audience, you know, a chance to see some of the people that are behind the scenes, like yourselves, that play a really critical role as far as our success, you know, at the dealership. You know, and that's the honest to God truth, you know, because if the paperwork doesn't go through, you know, it's just nothing but problems, you know. So the more efficient that you guys are, and you guys do such an efficient job, I'm proud to be able to work with you, you know. And the more that we get to know each other, you know, in the jobs that we do within the dealership, you know, we're going to be more effective as Chase Chevrolet as
a group, yeah.
You know, because everybody, you know, that should be something that everyone wants to do, and that's be part of that culture, you know, that connects with all of the various departments to work together to do a better job for the customer, because that's what it's all about.
Right. We have he's not new anymore, Ramon Gomez. He's
how long has he been here now? 5 years?
No. Slow down, would you?
Maybe a year?
Over a year. I know it's over a year and a half, I'm thinking.
A year and a half, that's right.
Anyhow, there's a guy that I met umpteen years ago, and when he came to work for us, we talked before he did, and he decided to come aboard. I remember what he told John Ferriolo. He said, man, I had to come here because this is the cream of the crop. He's worked for several other dealerships, I think 3 or 4. But he said, that was it, man. Everybody wanted to be at Chase Chevrolet. And even before me and Karen, which is a long time ago, the guys that were there when I started were there in the 60s and 70s. Johnny Jones, or Joe Reyna, Everett Parks. Those guys were close to my age now when I started, and they were there for years, years. We had a guy named Ernie Massey. He was a legend. I met him, but he was retired when I met him. And we used to do things like take a vehicle out to these farmers. He was a big farmer, selling a lot of farmers. And they'd say, hey, I need a truck or this or that. And he'd find one that met whatever they were asking for. He'd drive it out and leave it at their farm or ranch. And a week later, he'd send the contract. He'd walk out with the contract and they'd sign it. I mean, obviously you can't operate a business anymore like that, but it's still kind of the old boys school as far as how we do business. Yes, we have contracts, and yes, we do. You know, we have to do everything by the state of California's regulations. However, we still want to make it a friendly atmosphere, and I think for the most part, because I see people, obviously most of them are excited about buying a car, so that's when I get them.
Right.
And they always tell me, not always, but 80% of the time, they tell me this was a pleasurable experience. And you know, that as gruff and rough as I think I am, that gets to me. It's like, wow, man, we impressed somebody else. You know what I mean? So everybody's clicking. When you hear that, that means from the time they got there till the time they left, it was all good. They didn't have any issues. And for the most part, that's how it is. I mean, we don't have really anybody that makes an issue prior to that. I think we overcome the preconceived ideas of how it is when you walk into a...
Right.
But like I tell people, I'm not here. I'm on the other side of the desk wherever else I go.
That's
And
right.
I know how I want to be treated. And if you're not treated right, you're not coming back. I don't care if
Exactly.
they buy the car or not. Even if they buy the car and they feel that they're mistreated or whatever, you're going to have a hard time overcoming that. So, you know, I think it's important that we know that and that we keep working on it. I mean, we have a blast. The girls in the office and I know Roy has a treat. I start mounting up as I come in because I know we're going to have some fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Kim takes the brunt of most of the stuff that comes out, but that's only because you're friends with
But she
Michelle.
knows how to handle you now.
Yeah. She tells me I can't say it because we're on the air, but behind, she
Yeah,
tells
watch
me.
out.
Yeah, watch out, Rick. I hear this, Rick.
As soon as you see her coming, you know you're doing it.
I'm running for the hills, but we have a good thing going there, and I just think it's going to be there for a long time in the future. Because we do the right things, and even if we don't do the right things, we'll make it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll make it right. There's nothing to hang your hat about. Head down about because you work at Chase Chevrolet. There's nothing like
Not
that.
at all. Not at all.
Yeah. What else you got for us, Roy?
Well, we all represent Chase Chevrolet out in the community, and we're all proud of who we work for, and that normally, that touches everybody that that we come into contact with. It's just part of who we are, and so those are all great things. Do you see of anything? Is there any new stuff that would be coming through that I know that there's some dealerships that have what is it called? It's no signature on
The DocuSign.
Oh,
DocuSign, something of that nature. I don't know. I think Mercedes.
Are you
does
not?
it.
Are you
Is that
not?
right?
Are you not in finance? I'm just wondering why he's asking that question. Go ahead.
Oh
Roy.
no, well you know about it.
Thank you, Roy.
Well, ask-
for,
well, tell- yeah,
well,
tell
who
us
you
about
put?
that.
Is it her question
No,
or mine?
well,
I don't want to
was just
step on her.
wondering if down the road.
I would think down. I think down the road we've looked at it.
Right.
We've tried it. The version that it is very cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
It would take to do a deal that takes us probably from the time we get the customer till the time they sign all your documents till the time we call the salesman back, take them to their cars, probably 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what's going on in the deal.
Right.
If you have that pad, you're looking at 45 minutes to an hour. That's how much it slows you down, because it's not just signing the pad and then we go through the contract and say, okay, we're going to put your signature here, 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 and here. They have to sign and you have to go through each one, which we do anyhow.
Yeah.
But you go through it one time and they both sign. This way you have to go through it, then the husband or wife or the other person on the contract, we have to go through the same thing again and they got to sign it.
Right.
And it's just...
So we're doing the same thing.
we're
It's
doing the
just
same
not-
thing we
yeah.
did when I first got there.
Right.
But
I see it going that direction.
it will go to that direction at some point, and it will get better. Right now, it's in infancy stages, I think, of that. Some dealerships do it, but those dealerships don't do as many deals as we do. So if you had a dealership that's doing 30 to 45 deals a month, it probably would work for them. But when you're having like weekend, like the Labor Day weekend, we did 50-some deals in 3 days or 4 days. So, I mean, you have to get them going because what don't I like to do, and most people don't, is wait.
Right. Yeah.
They want to. They make the decision. They want to get their stuff and get in and get out, which I don't blame them,
Right.
because time is valuable. So, I think we're going to go there. Like, not Michelle. God forbid I called you Michelle. Amy. What Amy just said there, but I think we're heading that way. And I would say,
Does it eliminate paperwork? Is that
not
what it
really.
does?
Well,
Or not
that's
really?
what I
You
was
still
going to
gotta print
say.
it out,
A lot of documents still need wet ink, so
Okay. Yeah.
mainly, specifically the DMV documents still need wet ink.
Oh,
so you're
right,
still having to
right.
print out certain things, and
Right.
you
and
know,
you
so-
still got to print copies for the customer.
Right.
It's not like you can tell them, well, we'll send it to your email. I mean, of
right.
course, we're getting a lot of stuff that way now,
Yeah.
but
Well, and I've heard of bigger dealers or dealers who are doing like test runs with
Mm-hmm.
DocuSigns, and I think there's different
there's different types.
different companies that offer it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like we've really shopped. We've
No.
kind
Yeah.
of worked with who we already work with
Right.
in regards to that. But I've heard of some dealers putting them on flash drives, and then they give the flash drive to the.
Yeah,
Really?
I mean, I've heard of it. I've
Yeah.
not ever
What
experienced
the legality
it, but
is there or not, I don't know.
some classes I haven't heard. We haven't talked about it in a long
And
time.
here's the
but-
funny thing about documents. This always gets me when I'm doing a certified used car with a trade-in. There's a multitude of paperwork that we do. Now, what really makes you feel the warm and fuzzies, Bill Lakin, as you say, is that when the bank gets that, after they get the whole deal and they fund on the deal, they keep the top copy of the application, top copy of the application and top copy of the contract. Everything else gets shredded.
Really?
That makes you feel great that you did all that paperwork and they just threw it
All
away.
they had to do was look at it.
Yeah, but
to
so
make sure you did it.
That's right.
exactly, and you have to do it right. I mean, but so I think in the future we're going to see a lot more. I still don't understand how these non-dealers, the Carvana, there's another one too,
Right.
how they operate, because I don't know where their headquarters at. I think Carvana is in Arizona, because I saw a couple there when I was there a month or so ago. But
You buy a vehicle
online, sight
on
unseen.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
yeah.
especially used new cars, and I don't think they do new cars
No.
I
yet.
won't even
they
buy
can do
shoes sight unseen.
Right,
I
exactly.
Yeah,
You got to
right.
try them on. You got to
You
try
gotta-
the shoes on.
think
So,
I'd buy a car.
who knows where the future of the car business is going? But there are places out there that do it. How they do it, and I'm sure it's legal, obviously, because they're doing it. But how satisfied the customer is, because again, they're not looking at it and touching it; they're looking at pictures of it, and they ship it to them, and I think they have a week to give it back to them or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's
That's
still
an
a
accounting
lot of-
nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, exactly. So there are things out there like that. And like I tell people with warranties, they say, oh, I can buy a warranty at any time. And sometimes that's correct, sometimes it's not. However, we know what we sell. We know how it performs.
Yeah.
We've been with the same company since I've been there, over 34 or 5 years, whatever it is. We know how it performs. They take care of the customer. If it's an issue and it's covered, period. Some of these other ones are less money, so that's what intrigues people. Well, it's $500 less or $200 less, or whatever it is. However, when they go to use it, oh, that's not covered. Oh, that part's not covered because this other part caused that part to go out. I mean, it's nightmarish.
Right.
And so I always tell people, it's certainly your choice. It's your money. You do what you think's the right thing to do. However, I would read a lot of the fine print if I'm not buying from a dealership, because you really have nobody to go back to.
Right.
And we have sold not lately, but over the time I've been there, a secondary warranty. It was less money, but guess what? A lot of heat, because it was just like those, what I just mentioned. This
Didn't
isn't
cover
covered, that
everything,
doesn't
yeah.
cover. Well, we had one company, and this really blew my mind. I'm not very sharp, that's why I'm still working at my age. But the guy had an issue in the engine somewhere, and they said, well, it doesn't have the factory warranty in it, or factory warranty. It doesn't have the factory radio in it, so we can't cover that. Huh? Wait a minute. Radio has nothing to do with the engine.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that's out there, folks. So
You have to be very.
very, very, very careful. It's probably better off to buy from a dealer, even if it's not a very good one from the dealer that you choose. These they're there to go and vent to and get something corrected. So keep all that stuff in mind.
Excellent. We've got some upcoming events too.
Yes.
Go
Go ahead. Hey, first of all, go ahead. You go with
No,
your
no,
event.
go
No,
ahead,
no,
go
no.
ahead.
Oh, no.
You're in charge. You go ahead.
Oh, now
I'll follow you. Go
now
ahead.
I'm in charge. That
Go
really
ahead, you're
scares
in
me,
charge.
because I've never been in charge of anything in my life. But anyhow, we do have a car show coming up. Another Chase Car Guys will be October 2nd.
Oh, October 2nd. Let me write that down.
Write it down. You'll forget where you wrote it. but you'll write
October
it down.
2nd. Don't forget to tune in. That will be our 7th episode.
The mic's next to you, by the way. You're talking to the camera.
7th episode.
Attaboy. You're very intelligent, this guy. Anyhow, the other thing is next Thursday night, we're back with St. Mary's Hockey, which I'm fortunate to be a part of. And we're going to have the coach, Mr. Derek Eisler, and Mr. Adam Lecter,
Adam Lecter?
Yeah,
I saw him in the movies.
Hannibal's son. That's Hannibal. Is
Oh,
who you
sorry,
saw in the
wrong
movies. It's his son though. He'll be here. So it's going to be some good conversation
And what
there.
does he do? Who is
He is the athletic director of St. Mary's. High
Whoa,
School.
Adam Lecter.
Lecter.
Lecter. I'll have to tune into that
Was it
show.
Lecter?
Lecter. It is. It's really Lecter.
You
Making
know,
sure.
you know Lecter.
Really?
Really. So anyhow, those are the upcoming events that we have. I know we're going to be out. Roy's probably going to touch on it this Saturday at Delta College football. And tell Roy about the stadium. I didn't know it was named.
Well, yeah, we got a lot of things going on in the community. We're all part of the community, you know, Chase Chevrolet. And just recently, Chase Chevrolet is actually they are actually the let's see.
1944.
Let's
They were
see.
visiting.
We've kind of bought the naming rights to the athletic department basically, and so Chase Chevrolet's name is on every single one of the athletic
Facilities.
Yeah, good call. And that's really cool because you know, community. You know, we're involved in community. It's a community college, and there's you know, most of the people that go to this community college are from our area. You know, and many of them are our customers. So there was an opportunity for us to get involved with that. Chase Chevrolet decided to become part of that. So they actually have a football game, a home game this Saturday at 1:00 at Delta College. They'll be playing Chabot. And so we'll be out there, and you'll see the Chase Chevrolet banners out there, you know, that are on all
And
the
our
facilities.
lovely baseball player is going to be out there. Our guy.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have Chip Kniss out there.
Chip
So
Kniss
you
will
can
be
get a
out.
free autograph from Chip Kniss.
He used to be roommates
minor
with,
league ball player, you know.
roommates with Ricky Henderson. It's his
Roommates
claim
with that
Claim
no.
to fame?
yeah, it's claim to fame.
Yeah, exactly.
He still thinks he's playing with Ricky. Poor guy.
And then actually, there's a couple other really cool events going on. We have the Stag Homecoming Parade. The Stag Homecoming Parade, and it's really cool. And the parade is actually right here on the Miracle Mile, right outside these doors right here. And that will be on Friday, the 27th. So we're going to have the Stag Homecoming Parade on the Miracle Mile Friday the 27th. It begins at 1:30 p.m. And then later that evening, it is followed by the Stag Homecoming Game, and that it happens to be Hall of Fame night. And there's 4 Stag alumni players that'll be going into the Hall of Fame for Stag High School, and so that's going to be a fun time. On that day, we always hold our Stag High Alumni Barbecue. It's called the Chase Chevrolet Stag High Alumni Barbecue. Chip Kniss, myself, and we'll have a few others from Chase Chevrolet out there. That starts at 5 p.m. on that Friday, and that is on the 27th. So some cool things happening there. And then
What's happening this Sunday, Roy?
this Sunday?
Car show.
Oh yeah, Toys for Tots.
Yeah, how'd you
Yeah, it's
forget?
that time of year again. Toys for Tots. This is Chase Chevrolet's 22nd annual Toys for Tots car show, and that will be on Sunday, September 22nd. This Sunday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We just asked that we're going to have food vendors out there. DJ raffle prizes are going to be and some beautiful cars to take a look at. Just gorgeous cars. All we ask for you to do is bring a toy. Bring a toy. Toys for Tots will distribute the toys. It's a great organization. You'll see all the Marines out there, and we're proud to again be part of the Toys for Tots program. So that's this Sunday. So come on out and see some beautiful cars this Sunday at Chase Chevrolet. 8
If you
o'clock.
want to get a car in there, see Mr. Gary Pardini. Gary Pardini, salesman at Chase Chevrolet, and he loves cars, so he heads that up for us. And
That's a great job.
if you have a car or somebody you know that has a car or would like to get in it, get a hold of Gary at Chase Chevrolet, 475-6600, and ask for Gary Pardini.
Yeah, and then we also have the cruise. We have the Chevy. We actually have the cruise night on the mile. Cruise night on the mile. They've been having it the third Thursdays of the month, and right here on the mile. And so
Would that be the Miracle Mile,
that'll be
Ron?
the Miracle Mile right here. And so Chase Chevrolet is going to be part of that this Thursday. So come out between, I believe it's between from 5 to 8 p.m. Well, you'll see some beautiful cars cruising the avenue. You can bring your own car out there and cruise the avenue. So it's really a cool event. And you see some beautiful cars, and that is this Thursday, 5 o'clock. You can come by and visit. We're going to have a couple of classic cars out there. We're going to have a John Chase's beautiful classic cars. SS Camaro will be out there on display. So, and then we'll have a new one too for you to take a look at. So we have a lot of great things going on. We want to thank the voice of San Joaquin.
Yes, Miss Betty Ramirez. Betty, say something.
Hey, wait a minute. I got to thank you guys, too, because on our car show, our 5th annual Chicano Community Program, you came through with flying colors.
We came through, huh?
You parked your truck, your vehicle right in front, right there by the stage, and I thought that is so cool. That was the first time that happened.
It
So
was
thank
a great
you
event.
so
That
much.
was a great event. You did such a nice job on that.
Oh, I worked hard.
Job.
This young lady
worked
worked
hard.
her rear end off for
Yes,
this
she
radio
does. She
station in
does.
our
She
community.
is.
Lost it.
We can't thank her enough. She out of the goodness of her heart becomes our engineer for tonight's show, and on the for the St. Mary's High. She's a great lady. She's here and doesn't think anything of staying if she wasn't informed of a show. She does everything in the world for us. So.
Anything to help.
And that's because she loves this radio station.
That's right. This is a community radio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Helping it grow.
So, ladies, last words. We've made it
Final
through an
words.
hour. Final words,
Your final words,
Miss
please.
DuQuette.
I'm just happy to be part of the Chase Chevrolet family.
There you go. Those are good words.
What'd you think? That's enough. You have to ask. You have to. I'm sure you'll have to ask Michelle what to say. Go on,
You're darn right.
Miss Amy Clark.
I don't have anything else to say. I think we covered everything, and I agree with Kimmy.
You know,
There you go.
You know?
Felicia.
Chase Chevrolet is a great place to work, community, family, and buy into it.
Buy
into
into
it.
it.
That's
That's
how
it.
we can end the show. Chase Chevrolet.
Buy into it.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you on the 2nd. Bye bye.
Woo!
Yay.